Hello, love. My name is Gina, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. On today's video, we're going to be doing an updated Q&A. The first video I actually did for my YouTube channel here was a Q&A video, but I wanted to kind of redo it and do an updated one. I'm sorry, my cat is literally attacking my microphone cord, so just move him over there with my foot. Stop it, Pickles. Please, God, stop. Don't ruin this. I can't afford to buy another mic right now. I wanted to do an updated Q&A video because the first one that I did, I posted on Snapchat for you guys to ask me questions, and y'all did, which I appreciate so much. But I didn't do the question asking anonymously, so I figured that people probably didn't feel as comfortable being honest about the questions that they wanted to ask. So for this round, for this Q&A, I actually did like an anonymous thing for the questions, and I got a lot. I'm trying to think about how to say this. I got a lot more honest questions and also some pretty filthy questions that y'all asked me, and some of them will be answered and some of them I will get demonetized if I answer them. So, let's get into it. You guys are going to see me look down a little bit, and that is because I have everything kind of put on this paper here, as far as the questions go, because I can't remember literally anything. So, I figured I should probably do it this way or I'll forget all of it. But the first question is, how should I approach baddies in public without coming off as awkward or intrusive? Girl or boy or whatever, even if you're in between, y'all, that's a difficult one. That's what I'm saying. Y'all were a lot more honest this time and like open, and I really appreciate that. But damn, y'all asking the hard questions here. Before I answer this, I want you guys to know that I have not like pre-rehearsed my responses to these questions at all. I just printed out the questions and said, you know what, fuck it, let's go with it. So definitely gonna have to use the old thinking box a little bit when articulating these here. But the first step to approaching quote unquote baddies in public without coming off as awkward or intrusive, I would just go ahead and try and read the vibe or the room a little bit. So definitely pay attention to body language and also the expressions that they may have on their faces, because that's going to tell you if they even want to be approached in the first place. And it's important to mention that unfortunately, a lot of times people are not going to want to be approached. So you're going to have to be really careful about the way you go about it. Using a coffee shop for an example here, let's say there's this girl and she's going to get her coffee, whatever, and you see her and you really want to talk to her, but she's not being very social. She's speaking minimally to the workers and everyone around her and is kind of just staring at her phone and trying to avoid social interaction. If you get that vibe from somebody, just go ahead and don't 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 bother, okay? Because they could be having a really bad day and you are not going to get the response that you're looking for, and it's probably going to make you feel worse about yourself if you go up to someone who is just really not in the mood to talk to you in the first place. This is honestly kind of difficult to answer because I don't want to steer you guys away from walking up to people and like striking up conversation and stuff, but if you get the vibe that they don't want to talk to anybody, don't bother. But if you see someone who is relatively engaged kind of in what's going on and very aware of like her surroundings and also acting relatively social with the people kind of around her, and she's got kind of like this energy that maybe talking to her wouldn't piss her off and make her day worse, that's probably a go. So the first step is to definitely kind of read the room and assess, does this person even want to be talked to at all today? Because I know there's days for me that having people approach me or say stuff to me is just absolutely terrible. Like earlier today when I was in the grocery store, no, it would have been a no-go. Approaching someone and trying to strike up a conversation that could potentially lead to getting their phone number, their Snapchat, or taking them out on a date is totally different from just complimenting someone and being like, hey, I like your shoes. I think that compliments are usually taken relatively well, regardless of how the person is doing. That's just from my own experience. If someone says, hey, I like your shoes, and I'm in an absolutely shit mood, I'm gonna be like, oh, thanks. That made me feel a little better. But if I'm purposely avoiding like talking to anybody in a social situation and someone walks up to me and they start trying to like ask me on a date and I just want to literally blow my brains out, then it's not going to go well. You're going to get that very short answer and they're likely to be super frustrated. So go ahead and skip trying it with that person who's just got that kind of vibe going on. Getting back on track though, let's say that she's got the vibe. She's acting relatively social with the people around her, or, seems to be in relatively good spirits. Maybe she's not staring down on her phone the entire time and trying her best not to talk to people. If she's got that kind of thing going on, it's probably a go. So, after you've assessed the body language and also facial expression of the person that you might be interested in, and you're getting ready to go up to them, this is where things get even more tricky. I also feel like I'm relatively qualified to give this kind of advice because I am bisexual, so I do approach women. So, yeah. But the first tip, as far as actually approaching them goes after assessing everything, is to not be generic or be basic about it. If this girl or person just has this kind of energy about her that lights up the room and you really want to get to know her, she's likely going to have heard the shitty pickup lines or the "oh, you're so pretty" or "so beautiful." Try something different. Okay, try something totally different. You want to be relatively specific with the compliment that you give. And I don't mean specific as in creepy. Please, God, do not tell like some random person or someone that you might be interested in, "You've got really great tits." Are you real? No. No, 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 no. Do not comment on body parts, or honestly, if you comment on something like, "Oh, you're pretty," or "You're beautiful," wait to do that later on in the conversation. Don't throw that in there until you're already kind of on a good track. But if I were you, I would pick something very specific. Fashion is a really good one. That's a really good way to kind of get into a good conversation with somebody because it tells more about the person than just that they're attractive. The way someone dresses themselves usually tells you so much about the person that they are. That's a very generalized statement, but I more so mean maybe the things that they're into, maybe the activities and hobbies that they're into might somewhat correlate with the outfit that they're wearing. Again, very, very generalized. I know everybody is not like that, but the way someone is dressed can also make it easier to spark up a conversation because I feel like the way people present themselves and fashion is also somewhat of an art. So if you're looking for someone who's very artistic, you can usually kind of see that through clothes. Of course, we all have days where we go out and look like bums, but this is more so talking about if you're approaching someone and you are very interested in them and they seem like the type of person that you would get along with. This is definitely something I've actually done where I will pick something specific about someone's outfit that I really like. And again, if they're wearing a super revealing top, please don't go with a shirt. Please don't go with a shirt because especially if it's like super revealing, they got the girlies out, they're going to think you're just complimenting their tits. I'm sorry. This is about to be so honest. But maybe notice the fact that she's got a really cool necklace on. Again, it's a little bit iffy there. Or maybe a cool bracelet, or maybe the style of makeup they're wearing is really, really cool. But pick something very, very specific that they probably aren't going to hear from your average Joe Schmo walking down the street. You could even just say that I really, really like your outfit and your style, and then maybe ask where they got a piece, especially if you are interested in that kind of style that they wear yourself. Jewelry is a really good one to notice. I feel like shoes are a really fantastic one because shoes aren't really as sexualized as maybe something else that they could be wearing. Of course, this is not the case for everybody, but shoes and jewelry are a pretty safe bet. If they're not wearing cool jewelry or cool shoes, though, you can generally just compliment their outfit or their aesthetic. Just make sure to not be creepy about it. And then pay attention to if they're engaged in a conversation after making that compliment. If they just give you a, "oh yeah, thanks," and then they proceed to kind of pull back as far as their body language goes, or they are trying to grab their stuff to leave or whatever, don't keep going. Don't keep going. That person is not interested. They're either having a really bad day, they're just not interested, or whatever the hell they got going on. Don't keep going. But if they continue the conversation with you and you're not the only one carrying the conversation, if it is a mutual thing going on, then you can kind of move forward with trying to talk to them a little bit about, "hey, I really, really like your style and you seem like someone I would get along with really well." This is after you've had a conversation for a minute, maybe talked about some mutual interests. And then you can ask for something like a phone number and see if maybe they would like to go on a date or go out sometime. But I don't recommend saying, "Can I get your phone number? Do you want to come over to my house?" No, no. Jesus Christ. Do something that's very like public and something that makes them feel safe and appreciated. Then you're going to avoid them feeling awkward and like you're being intrusive. As long as you pay attention to body language and make sure that you're not approaching someone who does not want to be approached, you're probably not going to be intrusive. Even if you walk up to someone and compliment them and they take the compliment, kind of walk off, as long as you're not being pushy, then I don't think you're going to be awkward and intrusive. The only way you're probably going to be awkward and intrusive is when you're trying too hard. So you don't have to go in for the kill. You can just go in and say something very small, like a very slight compliment. And then you really want to pay attention to body language, how they took that compliment. If they're maybe noticing something about you that they like back, that's going to show some kind of mutual interest there. And then the ball kind of rolls from there. But take it very slowly and don't approach people who look like they literally want to kill themselves. Okay, just don't. And that's not an emo joke, obviously. But, and I'm also not saying I'm emo, I'm kind of flip floppy with my aesthetic. Anyways, though, just pay attention to body language. Don't approach someone who does not want to be approached. It's usually pretty easy to kind of read that vibe from people. Don't be pushy. Don't be creepy. Pay attention to something besides her face and her body and give a very specific compliment. Roll the ball slowly from there. See if you get a phone number. All right. That's your best bet. I know that was very long winded, but there is a particular way to do that without seeming creepy and intrusive. There is a way to go about it where you are clearly showing interest in the person and also not being creepy. You're welcome. Alrighty. Now we are on to question number 2. I know that was incredibly long-winded, so I do apologize about that, but I wanted to give you the full rundown because I feel like that's not like a quick answer conversation like, oh, tell her she's Brady. That's not going to help you any. You probably hear that shit every day. That's literally not helpful at all. So, again, you're welcome. But number 2 is very simple. It is just you single with the little eyes emoji. Well, this one won't be long-winded. No, I'm not single. I am in a committed relationship and I have been in one for a while now and I am very happy with my partner. And I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. So yeah, not single. Now we are on to number 3, which is, oh my God, I really picked some of the hardest questions for first. Jesus, this one had me stressed when I read this. Absolutely fucking stressed. Oh my God. I almost didn't want to answer this one because I was like, ugh, what do I even say? Number 3 is I'm very happy with my partner every way but physically, but do not feel comfortable asking them to change. How would you approach this topic? Oh my God. What a question. I'm so happy that I did this anonymously because I know, sorry, hold on, because I know that y'all would not have asked me that had I done it like where I knew who was asking the question. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is a hard one. Y'all did not make this easy. Before we get to them, please don't be offended, but I'm going to be honest with you because I asked y'all to be honest with me. So it is what it is. The first thing that I would do if I were you is to assess yourself and also the situation. So if you're wanting your partner to change physically, where are you physically? If you get what I'm saying, okay? If you are, as good as you can be physically, you're putting in work for your physical appearance and you have kept that up the entire relationship, then I think you have a little more ground maybe talking about it. But like I said, very, very touchy. I'm kind of iffy on even answering this one. But yeah, I would assess where you are first. So are you in a place where you can even comment on someone else physically? If you are not taking care of yourself physically, basic hygiene, keeping up with your hair and with your skin, and then also going to the gym and having your physique where you want it to be. If you were not doing all of those things and you were asking someone else to change, go ahead and fix yourself first. Okay. Don't worry about someone else's physical appearance until you are content and taking care of yours the way you want to be. Where you're at now, do you deserve your partner if they were to change? So if your partner did change and become this way physically that you want, do you deserve that version of them? Do you deserve that? Are you on that level or are you lower than them? So if that's the case, then go ahead, fix your shit first, and then you got a little more ground. Okay. Again, very, very touchy one. So if you are good off physically, and this is going to be basically by your own opinion. So I want you to really just think about this for a minute and say, am I where I want to be physically? Because if not, shut the fuck up. Don't bother with it. Not yet, all right? There's also not really enough information on this question, so I'm kind of just going off what I would assume. But have you been dating the person for a long time, you know? If you've been with this person for, like, 5, 10 years, and all of a sudden they stop caring about their appearance, they're not putting in effort to the way they look, and you are still doing the same things that you always have as far as taking care of your appearance, you got a little bit more ground there because I do kind of understand that. But if this is someone you've only been dating for a couple months and you really love their personality, but you want to change them, you can't really do that to people. All right. You can't do that to people because you're going to give them a complex. I don't know. Unless someone has kind of fallen off of where they were before and are going through something, I don't think you really have a right to comment on their appearance. And if you're going to, for some reason, you're going to need to tread really fucking lightly, dog. With talking about if you've only known them for a few months and you're trying to change their appearance, don't do that. That relationship's not going to work out. Okay. You can't do that to somebody who you've just met. And you really shouldn't be forcing anybody to change. It's a little bit different though if you've been with the person for a very, very long time and they just all of a sudden stop putting effort into their appearance whenever you're with them. That can be a little bit frustrating. That absolutely can be a little bit frustrating. Because if you've been with someone for a long time and they stop putting effort into their appearance 5 years later, I don't know, it kind of feels like they stopped trying to maybe win you over or be this person for you that you're attracted to. I don't know, it's a little bit it is frustrating whenever someone stops putting effort into their appearance if they were different, say, 5 years ago. But there's a lot that goes into that. Are they struggling a lot mentally? Are they really not doing well? Because if you're asking someone to change their appearance and they're, you know, halfway between killing themselves and ending up in a mental asylum, go ahead and scratch that shit. Don't do that. I would check in with them first and ask them how they're doing, if there's anything that you can do to help them if they're struggling, making sure that someone's in a good mental spot before you say literally fucking anything about their appearance. Dear God. But if they have just kind of stopped trying and they're not really going through a whole lot, then you can talk to them about it. And this is only if someone stopped putting effort into their appearance physically. If they've never been what you wanted physically, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can't change people. You can't do that. That's really fucked up to do to somebody. But like I said, if they stop putting in effort, you can talk to them about it. Oh God. As far as the actual conversation goes, ugh, this is so difficult. Maybe hint at it in a very light way. Dude, I literally don't fucking know what to tell you. I don't fucking know what to tell you. I mean, you could say something about, like, for some reason, if it's, wearing less makeup, I'm sorry, that one's probably one you're gonna have to get over because that's just a thing about someone getting comfortable with you, in my personal opinion. But if it's about, like, them gaining a bunch of weight and not putting effort in that way, definitely check in with them, dear God, definitely check in with them. And maybe, fuck, I don't know, bring yourself into it and say, "Hey, I was thinking about trying this new thing." And you try a new fitness plan and a new kind of way of eating healthier. Definitely don't single the person out. I would approach it from a kind of we standpoint. Even if you think that you're just the bee's knees physically, I would kind of approach it from a we standpoint and say, hey, why don't we try this together? I've been really interested in trying out this new fitness class, and I'd love it if you do it with me so we could spend a little extra time together. And it can be a good bonding experience, but it's going to depend on what you don't like about them physically. If you want her to get a fucking boob job, then dude, put down the money and ask her if she'd be interested in it. God, I know I would. But it's a really difficult thing. I don't know, unless you've been with the person for a very, very long time, then you have no room to comment on someone's appearance physically. So, yeah, I don't know. If they're stopping putting in effort, you can definitely talk to them about it. And like I said, bring yourself into it a little bit. Be like, look, I am thinking about trying this new fitness class. Would you like to do this with me? And if they're not interested in trying something with you, oh my God, my cat's going to tangle himself up in this microphone. Mm. But if they're not interested in doing something like that with you, you can have a chat with them and just like ask them if everything's okay and kind of what's been going on as far as why they stopped putting in effort. That's probably the way I would do it, actually. I would have a conversation with them and ask them if there's like why they stopped putting in effort. But even if you do have that conversation and you go about it as kindly as possible, you might piss them off. I know that, like, If someone said that to me, my mental health is always all over the fucking place. But if someone said that to me, I would take it kind of rough at first. So you're going to have to be really careful, big dog. Definitely don't do it unless you've been with the person for a long time and they just all of a sudden stop putting in effort. Check in with them, see what's going on, see if there's another issue that needs to be fixed that is prohibiting them from taking the care that they want to of themselves that they normally would. Um, Check in with your relationship. Are you both providing each other what you need? Do you feel comfortable in the relationship? Do you still want each other like you used to? I don't know. There's a lot of shit that goes into it though. So tread really lightly. Go at it from the we standpoint. Try to I don't know, improve your physical appearance along with improving theirs at the same time. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it's something to do with weight, and I unfortunately that's what I'm probably thinking it is, unless for some reason you're wanting them to get a boob job or a nose job, and then at that point, get a new bitch. Unless you plan on paying for it, and at that point, you still should be doing that to people and telling them what to fucking do with their bodies. But if it's something to do with weight, then I would talk to them about it and ask if they want to join some kind of fitness class or do something with you. But don't make them feel bad about the way that they look. Okay. Don't go about it that way. Definitely let them know that you still find them attractive and everything, but you are maybe wanting to try some new stuff as far as your appearance goes. I don't fucking know. I'm really having a hard time answering this one. Best of luck to you. Tread really, really fucking lightly. That's the best thing I can tell you. And try not to single them out. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Sorry, baby. Because if someone said that shit to me, I don't even know how I'd take it. But I've also never been in a relationship for that long, so and I've never had anyone do that to me. So I don't know. Best of luck to you though, baby. And we're on to the next one because that's all I've got for you, love. Question number 4. Do girls prefer more feminine or masculine guys? That is such an interesting one. And it's honestly really going to depend on the person. For me personally, I do like a little bit of a mix of both. As far as men go, I like someone who isn't afraid of things being feminine, but I also like someone who is a little bit more on the masculine side for sure if I'm going for a guy. So I in my own personal life, I like someone that is, not going to be afraid of doing something like painting or maybe getting a manicure done or like, I don't know, taking a fucking bubble bath and having proper hygiene. I don't like toxic masculinity at all. But if I am going to date a man, then I want them to act a little bit masculine too, or what society says is masculine. That's bad. I know, guys. I know. I know. So I would like someone who's like a little bit rough around the edges and isn't afraid to kind of do things that society somewhat deems as masculine. This is my personal preference. Will fix things for me if I need it or isn't afraid to get their hands dirty and to do stuff outside and isn't like prissy. I don't know. I like someone who is a little bit more rough around the edges and I personally am somewhat like that.
What the actual fuck? Who is chain smoking outside my window?
And as far as the femininity thing goes, I want someone who's not afraid to be emotional and to cry sometimes if they really need to cry. I prefer someone who's in the middle, honestly. Someone who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty, but also if they need a fucking manicure, they get a fucking manicure. Okay. Okay. I don't want to get some kind of disease because you don't want to wash your hands because it's gay or girly. Okay. I know. Offensive. Offensive. But yeah, that's just my personal preference. As far as other girls go, it's going to depend on the person. I think that a lot of people want someone who is kind of in the middle. So they want someone who, if they're going for a guy, they might want someone who is more on the masculine side, but then isn't afraid to do things that society deems as more feminine, like proper hygiene, having emotions, having a little bit of a nurturing side. It's my personal preference. And I think that's a lot of women's personal preference too. You don't have to be some fucking hard ass all the time and never have emotions. If anything, that makes you more unavailable emotionally. And a lot of people are not into that. I don't know. Andrew Tate has really got a lot of these boys thinking that the alpha male is what gets the bitches. And a lot of you guys are celibate for that reason or incels. No offense. Just be well rounded. And if someone's more into feminine guys too. There's a lot of people that are more into that. I feel like they'll find each other. I really do. But don't focus too much on trying to be too feminine or masculine. Just be a real fucking human being. Don't fall into the toxic masculinity thing. And then don't try to be too feminine to please a woman. Be whoever the fuck you really are. Be emotionally in tune and aware. Yeah, that's all I've got for that one. Alrighty. Question number 5 is, what is your favorite kind of music? I like this one a lot. But I don't.
God, what the actual hell is happening out here?
As far as my favorite kind of music goes, oh my god. I'm gonna give you guys my top 3 genres because I don't have a specific favorite. I like stuff with a lot of soul to it, so I really like 90s kind of R&B music, but I also like stuff that reminds me of my childhood and is just very nostalgic, so dad rock really hits a nerve in a really good way for me as well. I also like underground rock, I like soul music a lot, and yeah, I feel like those are the main ones that I listen to is usually like underground rap and just 90s R&B and hip hop. I listen to a lot of that along with the soul music and then the 90s dad rock. Um and this is kind of totally out of character for me, but I've been listening to a little bit of country music recently. Which is absolutely insane. I just, like, have heard a few songs and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so catchy, it's so good." And then I want to, like, dive into it a little bit more. I am not a huge fan of country, but I have been listening to a little bit recently. I also like music that has a lot of bass because I have subs in my car, so anything with a lot of bass is good. I really like ASAP Rocky. I'll just give you some of my favorite artists too, since I'm being super like broad with this question. I really like ASAP Rocky. Let's see. Who else? Who have I been listening to a lot? I really like ASAP Rocky. I really like The Weeknd. I also used to listen to Tupac a lot whenever I was younger. And I also like Stained, which is like a dad rock band. Really love Alice in Chains. So I do really like rock and roll and like the grunge 90s genre of music. As far as my all-time favorite genre of music, I would probably say like the 90s grunge era or just music from the 90s is probably my favorite like era of music. And since I'm being so like broad with my statement here, I'm just going to say music from the 90s. That's my favorite kind of music. Yeah, that's what I got. But I do throw down to a little Britney Spears, baby girl, and a little Gwen Stefani. That shit smacks. Number 6 is what to look for in a partner. The first thing I would do is assess yourself, right? So, excuse me, what are your non negotiables? Write down your core values for yourself. And you also want to look for that, maybe your 3 top core values for yourself. You want to look for those in another person. So that would be the first thing I would do. But I also recommend looking for someone, and these are some of mine, who is emotionally intelligent and good at communicating, as well as disciplined and determined. You definitely want someone who is good at communicating and emotionally intelligent. That way, if things get a little rocky, which they're always going to in any kind of long term relationship, you're going to have little ups and downs. You can deal with those properly and then you can work through issues. It's really, really important. You also want someone who is going to be disciplined. That way, they are, very disciplined with themselves and it really shows respect for themselves, but you want someone to respect themselves as well as you. And you want someone with a lot of drive towards the things that they are passionate about. It's also good to look for someone who is very loyal. Obviously, loyalty is super, super important. And then kind and caring. I don't know. I really like people who are honest as well. Those are kind of my big things there. And then someone who has similar hobbies to you, some like enjoys similar things as to what you do, because even if someone checks off all your boxes and you have nothing in common, then it's going to be a little bit difficult to pursue something long term with them because you're not going to be able to do things that you both enjoy together. It's totally normal to have someone, have different hobbies than you but have something that you can kind of do together. I think that's pretty important, so I would look for that as well. Number 7 is, what's your ethnicity? This is so funny to me whenever people ask this. And thank you for asking the question, by the way, of course. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's silly that you asked the question, but it's so funny whenever people ask me this because I'm just like, I don't know, like mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is my ethnicity. I'm just like white as hell, so I don't really know what to tell you. I've never had like a DNA test or anything taken. I mean, I think I'm like European and English. Anyways, yeah, I think I'm European and English, so very generic white person. I don't really know. I've had people tell me all kinds of different things like, "Oh, you look like you're from this part of the world, but like mixed with white," or "You're from this part of the world, but again, mixed with white as fuck." And I just have no earthly idea. I have no idea where I'm actually from. I'm assuming it's just some I don't know, scrambled egg, Europe, English, all the shit. I know I'm white, so I'm just like from up yonder, I guess, somewhere. Hell if I know. I don't know. I've been asked that question a lot though, especially a lot within the past few years. It's very strange to me, and I always kind of laugh, and I never know what to say. But we're just gonna go with mayonnaise as far as the ethnicity goes. I think number 8. This is kind of an interesting one. Do you have any collections of things? I am someone who like starts a lot of different projects and then stops them, so I have a lot of just random shit. I mean, I have one hell of a collection of art supplies and paint. So, as far as just like a collection, like some collection of trinkets and shit like that, not really. No, I don't, unfortunately. I used to have a collection of snow globes when I was a little kid. I had a ton of them, and yeah, I grew out of that and then threw them all away. I used to also have a collection of marbles, which was interesting. I just started collecting them when I was like probably 9 and had this huge box full of them. As far as now, though, the only collections I have are of probably art supplies and also art pieces. I have never sold any of the art that I make. I have a ton of it. So I guess that's really the only collection I have. I have this huge box of it, and it's also just like scattered in random places across my house. So just art supplies and then also an insane art inventory, which I was actually thinking of making a YouTube video going through my art inventory for y'all because I feel like it'd be super interesting to see kind of all the art pieces I have and the progression as well as the way my art styles changed. But yeah, long-winded, but that's the only collection I really have is my art pieces. Number 9. Someone said, "Hey Gina, I've been going through some really hard shit lately, and I was wondering if you could tell me everything is going to be okay." I want to start by saying that yes, everything is going to be okay. I don't feel like we're given challenges or things in our lives that we cannot handle. And this is coming from someone who's literally wanted to blow their brains out so many freaking times. But I don't think we're given those kinds of things unless we can persevere and get through them. So I do think that things are going to be okay for you. I don't know exactly what you're going through because you didn't tell me, but I just want you to really, really take care of yourself and not block out your emotions and the stuff that you're kind of going through. If you need to get therapy for whatever you're going through, I definitely would. But if you're deciding not to get therapy, just make sure that you're really in tune kind of with your emotions and what's going on, and I really want you to take really good care of yourself while you're going through this difficult time and pay attention to what you need and what you need to kind of keep going and keep functioning in the way that you want to. Even when I've gone through some really, really difficult times, I can say that it was terrible, but I did learn so, so much about myself and so much about the way I want to live my life in the future. I went through some really, really difficult shit last year, and it taught me so much about myself and also my values. And I feel like it really did help me grow. I'm not telling you to look at the bright side and be like, oh, what is this going to do for me for the future? Because I don't think you're going to know until then how stuff like this changes you as a person. But as for right now, the thing that you really need to do is you really need to pay attention to yourself and take the best care of yourself as you possibly can. Everything is going to be okay. You weren't given something that you cannot handle. You will get through it and you can get through it. And I believe in you. And if you want to talk to me a little bit more in depth about what you're going through, you can message me on Snapchat. My Snapchat is a little bit of a mess right now, though. So if you ask me that question and you are wanting to talk to me a little bit more in depth about that, you're welcome to message me on Instagram. I don't get as many like like text messages, DMs, whatever, and responses on Instagram as I do on Snapchat. So it's a lot easier for me to see whenever people have said something. So if you want to message me on there and talk to me a little bit about it, I'm totally happy to talk to you about it and then give you some more in-depth advice that I can't really give you on here without knowing the full situation. That is all of the questions that I've got for y'all that are PG enough to ask. And we're going to take a little moment to go through some of the questions that I will not be reading out loud, but that you can just read yourself. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that right now. I know, ridiculous. That is all I've got for y'all today. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye.